All right. Good evening, everybody. Harrison Beebe joining you from our Up North Live News Digital Content Center. We're breaking in the sports section of the Digital Content Center with a good friend of mine. He's the sports editor at the Traverse City Record Eagle, Brendan Quealy, nice enough to join us on the eve of the high school football season kicking off. Brendan, in a weird way, summer's coming to an end, but I know a lot of people look forward to high school football here in Northern Michigan. How excited are you to start this 2023 season?
I'm thrilled, and I'm thrilled because it comes with a lot of intrigue, a lot of questions, a lot of new faces, and there's just a lot of great storylines that we're going to be following over the next, 13 to 14 weeks.
Yeah, Thanksgiving is going to come before we know it, and hopefully we get at least one team, maybe more, down to Ford Field to play for an 11-man state championship. We'll find that out in due time. But let's start here in week one. A lot of good games coming up here on Thursday and Friday night. Brendan, which game do you eye as the big attraction here to start the season?
Well, I think what you're looking at tomorrow with Kalkaska and Manistee is very interesting. Manistee had that upset win last year in the playoffs. That should be a good game. I know we'll have some coverage out there. I'm really looking forward to what Benzie Central is going to be up to this season for the same reason. They had that upset win, and they bring back a lot of young talent and now experienced and veteran talent that will put together, I think, a really, really good season for the Huskies. Of course, we have Bear Lake with the Samantha Mullet as the first female head coach in MHSAA history.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a lot, like you said. There is a lot going on. Traverse City teams are going to be kicking off as well, and there's some intrigue there with Traverse City West. They've got a new head coach in James Wagner. What are the Trojans going to look like 2 years after making it to Ford Field, and what are the Gladiators of St. Francis going to look like after losing 11 players on offense, eight players on defense? A lot of question marks. It's the one thing that I thought about when I've been going over this season. There's a lot of unknowns. I think this is my fifth or sixth season of football, and this is one that I can say that I have a lot of question marks, and I'm going in wishing I knew more, but excited to see what plays out.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been doing this just a hair longer than you have. And yeah, a lot of fun of every high school football season is kind of seeing who does surprise you, who does come out of nowhere and make some noise and really catches you or other teams off guard. So just to pinpoint on that, which one team, if you had to pick one that you can't wait to see what they do this week, which one team or which one matchup do you like to or are you most curious to see what goes on?
So we talked about Benzie Central already, and yes, I'm very excited about that. I want to see what Grayling does this year. They have Ethan Kaharick coming back. He's going to be in his third year as a starter at QB, and I think this is the year that they've got to take that next step and really prove that they are a contender in Northern Michigan. There's a lot on that team. They lost a lot from a couple of years ago, but I think with Kaharick under center and taking the snaps, they're a team to watch. They really are, and I think they're already flying under the radar, which is odd considering the experience that they have. But I'm excited for what the Vikings can do this season.
Yeah, I know that's a group that's going to be fired up to show they're wanting to get back in the playoffs after making a couple good playoff runs a few years back. I think they made the state semi. We had several teams make the state semifinals one year, and the Vikings were definitely one of them. How about another Viking team? Let's go to the Cadillac Vikings. They've got a lot of new going on there down in Wexford County, a new head coach, a new playing surface. They've got turf field now, just like a bunch of the other schools up here slowly implementing that. And they're doing a lot of changes to their stadium as well. It feels like a promising kind of rebirth down there in Cadillac.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think Nick Winkler is going to do a tremendous job as head coach, and I think that he has the right kind of attitude that will breathe some fresh air. And I don't even know if Cadillac needed fresh air.
Right.
Cadillac, they've been a great program for the last several years, perennial contenders, and I think Nick Winkler should probably be thanking his lucky stars if he's coming into a situation like this going, all right, I have something established already, and now I can build on it, put my mark on it, and move forward. Those Cadillac Vikings are going to be one to watch.
Well, and we talked about a new head coach at Cadillac. Let's talk about that new head coach at TC West, Coach Wagner, who's now going up against his alma mater in week 1. You can't draw it up any better. This is like if ESPN was covering high school sports in Northern Michigan, like they'd put all their Monday Night Football crew on this Gaylord TC West game, I think, just for the storylines alone. But I know Coach Wagner's trying not to make a big deal out of that, but you can't help but find the uniqueness in two schools that don't really traditionally play each other anymore in a conference are now meeting up for his first game as he leads up Traverse City West against them.
Yeah, start writing the book already, right? I mean, I'm sure there's a story there. Maybe John Grisham will follow up his Bleachers book that he had several years ago with something like this. But Wagner has such a great history of turning programs around, and he has a job in front of him at Traverse City West. Not arguably, 2022 was the worst year for Traverse City West football.
Yep.
It just was, and that's there's no reason to beat around the bush with that. It's something that stared him in the face, and hopefully that is something they can put behind them. And Wagner, speaking to that guy, just a great amount of positivity and hope, and seems like he knows the game inside and out and wants to coach the game for the right reasons. And that's about creating good young men, good football players, and good people moving forward once they leave the program. And I think that is a really important part about being a high school football coach. And James Wagner has that.
And while we're at it, you did mention her earlier, but let's touch on the one other big coaching change that I think Northern Michigan and the state of Michigan as a whole is really buzzing about. And she doesn't really want us to make that big a deal out of it. But I mean, when you become the first female varsity head coach in the history of the state of Michigan, years upon years, decades upon decades, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of teams probably at this point, and she is the first one to do it. It's Sam Mullet at Bear Lake. I mean, how unique is this that a Northern Michigan team can be the first in this really trend-setting pattern that could, shape the way football is coached throughout the state as it has already been for other states?
Yeah, it's incredible, and I guess maybe somewhat unfortunate that it took until 2023 for this to happen. But I'm glad that we didn't have to wait any longer, because we're seeing this influx into the game, both now at the high school level, collegiate level, professional, all of that. And I think it can only help, because if you have diverse voices, perspectives, it gives you an advantage, and it provides more, and you can do more with more. And I think Samantha Mullet coming on at Bear Lake with the passion that she presents, the love that she has, the knowledge that she has, having been in the Baltimore Ravens organization, the Buffalo Bills organization, it's just amazing. I am so excited to see what Bear Lake does this season under her direction. We're not supposed to be biased, right? But I'm rooting for her, and I'm rooting for Bear Lake. I want success for the Lakers.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool to see what they do. And Bel Air will be their opener on the road on Friday night. Brendan, you guys are big with the Record Eagle of doing dream teams and players of the year. So preseason here, who are you looking at some of your candidates for here in Northern Michigan as your players of the year on the gridiron?
There's a lot. There truly is. We mentioned Ethan Kaharick already out of Grayling. I think the one running back I'm really interested in seeing is Petoskey's CJ Hibbler. He broke his leg, I think, 3 games into last season, and was already close to 600 yards at that point. So what he can do, and hopefully he comes back and he's healthy and the leg is feeling good. I'm excited to see what he can do. I know that on the 2 other running backs that I'm excited to see, Eli Graves out of Kingsley, and then in 8-man football, Dylan Croft at Gaylord St. Mary. Jackson Childers, wide receiver at Benzie Central, Brady Pretzloff, linebacker at Gaylord, Kyler Brunin, lineman at TC West. The list just goes on and on and on. We have no shortage of talent in Northern Michigan when it comes to football. what I don't know is how all of that talent is going to coalesce together, and what teams are going to be standing at the end of this.
Which is a great segue into my question in one question. But before we get to the end of the year, let's talk about some of these conferences. There's been shakeups going on. The Big North Conference has virtually doubled in size compared to what it was a year ago, adding 3 teams from the Upper Peninsula to be a part of that now 7-team conference. We know the shuffling that's been going on in the Northern Michigan Football Conference. Traverse City Central and Traverse City West, of course, are in the Saginaw Valley once again for a second year. Which league has caught your attention the most here, at least as we enter preseason into these first set of games?
Well, the Big North will be interesting just to see how that moves forward and who's jumped in. I think the drama surrounding Traverse City St. Francis, not so much being booted from the conference in other sports, and then how that's going to affect the Northern Michigan Football Conference. We don't know how it will play out, but there is there's a lot, I guess, to wonder about when it comes to these conferences. I think the Ski Valley is one of interest.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, it's the Saginaw Valley League with TC West and TC Central in their second year. Wasn't great the first year, I would say, but can they bounce back and get a little more familiar with the opponents that they're going to see now a second time around?
Definitely. I think that 1 year of experience will only help them, and Traverse City West getting that new head coach. We know Eric Sugars is going to have things well under control at Traverse City Central. So, yeah, the Saginaw Valley, those are top-tier schools as far as enrollment-wise. Definitely excited to see there. But as you mentioned, the Big North Conference with all those extra schools make things a little more fun. I liked the round robin last year when it was Cadillac, Gaylord, Petoskey, Alpena. They just 3 straight weeks, shootout. Whoever won out in the end was going to take that league title. But now they have a few more teams in there to make that a little more impressive of a conference championship to bring home. All right, we're going to bring home this high school football preview chat with you, Brendan Quealy of the Traverse City Record Eagle, with some bold predictions. It is August, so we're 3 months away, but just from what you gather right now and just picking your brain a little bit, who do you think on the 11-player side and on the 8-player side you give the best shot to make it to Ford Field come Thanksgiving weekend, and for the 8-player teams to play up at the Superior Dome the weekend before?
See, this is the one question I knew you were going to ask, and
nobody likes to be asked this question.
It was the one question that that's not true. I was happy to answer this. I was happy to answer this question last year because I thought I knew, and I mean, when it came to St. Francis, I did know. They did make everybody look smart when they made it to Ford Field. Man, I'm going to do something, and I am going to put a chip on the shoulder of every single football team in Northern Michigan when I say I don't think that we will have a team make it to Ford Field, and I don't think we'll have a team make it to the Superior Dome. I know that seems like the wrong thing to say, but I just don't know at this point. And I should be nicer about this and say, oh yeah, well, this is the year for Kingsley to finally do it. And yeah, I think maybe it might be, or Gaylord St. Mary. That could certainly be it. But right now, I need a couple of weeks to see. I need to see what's on the field before I start handing out finals appearances to any of these teams. And I think the coaches would agree with me when I say that.
Well, and I can kind of side with you there, not to throw a little maybe shame at Sutton's Bay, but last year we all thought they were shooing to make another state finals in the 8-player division, and they had kind of a rough season there with even some returners back, and it didn't work out the Norsemen's way like they were hoping. So it's even tough to think that a team on paper is a for sure, and then that doesn't always translate to what you're looking for. So that's what we like most about high school sports being back in all arenas: volleyball, soccer, cross country, golf. We've got all those sports going on right now. Football will officially be back tomorrow night. And so we're excited to get this season going. Brendan, we're excited to have you join us throughout the season on the Jimmy John Sports Corner, and maybe here again on some Facebook live streams from our Up North Live Digital Content Center. Looking ahead to what should be another exciting 9+ weeks of high school football. Thank you again, my friend.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
And thank you guys all at home or on your cell phones, wherever you are watching this live stream with us, or maybe you're watching it on tape somewhere later on. I hope you've enjoyed our season preview here. Of course, every Thursday we'll preview some of the big matchups of the week on the Jimmy John Sports Corner. That'll include tomorrow night with James Cook, also from the Traverse City Record Eagles. So join us for our live newscast for that. And we'll look to bring you more football and sports related content here in the Digital Center throughout the coming weeks. So have a good night, everybody.